When Mitch McConnell fell twice last week and was escorted out of the Capitol in a wheelchair, it did renew a debate about term limits for lawmakers. McConnell is 82.
At 90, Senator Dianne Feinstein died while still serving in office.
And age and the ailments that come with it were the undoing of President Joe Biden's failed election bid. And there's, of course, Nancy Pelosi, who at 84 has yielded power, but has been unchallenged for her seat until now.
If Saikat Chakrabarti has his way, Pelosi's days of serving in Congress are numbered. The political strategist who once served as AOC's chief of staff has announced he is taking on the former House Speaker in 2026.
His website states, quote, 20 terms in Congress is enough. He's calling for a new generation of Democratic leaders. With us now to discuss all of this is Saikat Chakrabarti. Welcome to Rising.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, great to speak with you. Tell us why you have chosen to run against Nancy Pelosi, one of the most dominating figures in Democratic politics and American politics for the last however many decades she has been with us.
Yeah, she's been in there for 20 years, I think, or 20 terms, almost 40 years. She first got into Congress the year I was born, actually. And I think it's not just about age. I don't think it's just the term limits. I think it's a sign of a bigger problem with the Democratic Party, where you've had all these politicians who've gone into Congress at a time when America was completely different. At the time that Nancy Pelosi got into Congress, you could raise a family on a single income. You could buy a house. You could live the American dream. And a lot of that has become more and more out of reach for a big majority of Americans. Most people are afraid of a health care bill bankrupting them. Most people can't buy a house these days. People are worried that their kids are not going to do as well as them, and they're right to worry. And I think the result of this has actually been that people are voting for change every chance they get. That's what happened with Obama in 2008. That's what happened with Donald Trump in 2016 and 2024. The big message here is both parties have let the big problems in America just fester for decades and decades. They haven't done anything about it. And I think unless the Democrats completely change, and I'm not just calling for Nancy Pelosi to go. I'm actually saying we need a revolution in the whole Democratic Party leadership, not a left, right, or center revolution. We just need a whole new party with whole new people in it if we're really going to tackle the problems that we're facing at the scale we need to be tackling them.
But how would that sort of manifest itself in concrete terms, Saikat? I mean, I know it is a huge question. How does the Democratic Party recover from what was a pretty crushing defeat for most Democrats, President Trump getting elected in November? And it is fine, I think, to, of course, identify the problems and identify the symptoms of things having gone wrong. But when you say it's not left, right, or centre, but a new party, doing what? Standing for what?
I think fundamentally standing for rebuilding this country, rebuilding its industries, its institutions. There's a huge opportunity, actually, for things that we could be building. There's this major opportunity globally to build a clean energy economy that's going to be millions and millions. It's a multi-trillion-dollar business opportunity that basically we're saying let's let China have all of it right now. We're not even trying. I mean, Biden made some small efforts towards it, but we're not really trying. When I think about, the way I think about this on a larger scale is you look at countries that have fallen into stagnation the way I think we have right now throughout history. It takes this kind of concerted effort, this big moment of gumption to get out of that. We did that, back when we had the Great Depression through the New Deal at first, but then really through our effort in World War II. But there's countries all around the world that they just made this decision to get richer. If you look at most developed countries today, like South Korea, Taiwan, it was a decision like that, and a new political party often, or a new political movement with an actual plan to build wealth in the country that got us out of it. So that's, I think, the bigger thing that I don't think either party is really advocating for right now. I think that should be combined with real efforts to get the costs of people's essentials down. I think we should have guaranteed universal health care as a way to get health care down. There's plenty of ways to do it. I think we should be tackling the spiraling costs of education and childcare. There's more proposals out there for that, but I think the bigger message here is we actually need to get back into this mode of growth and building the way we used to, that I think we've just let slide.
The Democratic Party seems extremely hostile at the leadership level to allowing new voices, younger voices in. We read off a couple examples, but I think there's no better illustration actually of the party failing to reckon with its tactical failures recently is giving Jerry Connolly rather than AOC that key oversight position. A young person who fires up the base, but actually who has a district of where a significant number of people did vote for Trump and is trying to understand how that's possible, versus the aging, ailing establishment. What is your strategy for actually getting through to elites in your party who are just not at all taking seriously criticisms of even setting aside policy of just like letting younger people have a chance?
Yeah, I don't. My honest opinion is I don't think the elites are gonna do it. They haven't been doing it for a while. I think when that oversight decision happened, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And I think it's time to replace them. I really think we need to replace dozens, if not hundreds, of incumbents in the Democratic Party right now with new, fresh voices who actually are committed. Because the problem is that the party's just lost trust among so many people, and part of that comes from decades of them not doing anything about the biggest problems. And that's the case on the Republican side as well. But another part of it is people do feel that there's some corruption within the Democratic Party, whether that's real or not. But there's a real brand problem there with all the insider stock trading that Nancy Pelosi's been doing as well, and so I think we just need new people that Americans can trust, who are actually able to communicate and who have a vision. That's the biggest thing, is we need a real story to tell for how the country got to this place and how we can get out of it.
As you say, Saikat, the former speaker, has been around in politics for around about 4 decades. Obviously, in San Francisco in particular, she's extremely powerful, extremely well established. So I'm honestly curious, are you running in part simply to platform your own dissenting voice from her style of leadership? Or do you think in a head-to-head race you have a real shot of beating her in a primary?
Oh, I absolutely think I have a real shot of beating her. We're in a change moment in this country, and a lot of the political gatekeepers that used to wield a lot of power, they've become more and more irrelevant. I saw this on AOC's race when I was running her race. She ran against a very powerful Democrat, Joe Crowley. He was kind of third in line to be speaker at the time. And we heard the same things. How are you possibly going to beat him? He's got the whole Democratic Party machine in New York. He basically inherited Tammany Hall. And it turns out there's just way more ways to get directly to voters these days than there used to be. And I think a lot of the political gatekeepers are kind of paper tigers now. And you combine that with this moment where I think a lot of people are very frustrated with the Democratic Party's leadership's response to Donald Trump, and kind of our inability to articulate what they're going to do next. So I'm banking on the fact that there's going to be a lot of people who are looking for change, who are kind of hungry for a new message of what that change will look like, and all the tools and technologies and podcast shows like you guys are doing to reach voters directly, that'll let me get around the political gatekeepers. Because let's be real, I'm not going to win playing the normal political games. Of course, she's very powerful, very well connected, very well funded. I'll have to play a different game.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and telling our viewers about your candidacy. We've got a lot of people interested in some change in terms of who leads these establishment parties. Saikat Chakrabarti, thank you so much for coming to Rising.
Thank you.
Up next, CNN is shocked about Donald Trump's approval ratings. We'll talk about that. Stay tuned.